One of the challenges with producing indie rock vocals is finding that sweet spot between a completely dry vocal and a vocal that has too many effects on it, that's overprocessed. So how do you find that sweet spot in the middle? Well, obviously there's a great deal of variance depending on what your song specifically is asking of you. Sometimes you want more effects, sometimes less. But when it comes to shaping a vocal sound that is conducive to a well-produced indie rock song, it isn't as much about, not using effects or avoiding effects, but rather it's about honing in and figuring out which couple effects and which couple techniques are the ones that you want to even overuse. So that is what this video is all about. So let's jump right in. Here are my top 5 techniques for producing indie rock vocals inside of any DAW. The number 5 technique is the automated chorus delay. Now, when it comes to delay in indie rock, we need to be very careful because we don't want to overdo it. We don't want to create too much of a modern pop sound if we're going for a bit more of a raw, organic rock vocal sound. But there are moments in these indie rock songs where you can really lift the overall production when you bring in a delay at a certain section of your song. Often this might be like the chorus, and that is exactly what's happening here. So this is one of my first remakes I ever made for this channel, and this is the song Cough Syrup by Young the Giant. So when the chorus comes in here, listen to how that delay turns on, and it creates that lift for this section.
If I could find a way to see this same, I'd run away to some fortune that I should have found by now. I'm waiting for this cough syrup to come down.
Now, on the basic level, it's very simple, right? You just get a delay, which I have here on a return track. You're sending the lead vocal to it, and then I'm automating the mute. So it's muted, and you're not hearing the delay until you get to this chorus. And that's just a basic automation move. But one thing you may have noticed about this delay sound is that it is ducking whenever the vocal is singing, and then as soon as the vocal is done, it comes back to full volume, and that is because of a feature called sidechain compression. Although in this case I didn't even have to use a compression plugin because Valhalla Delay has a ducking feature built in. But not with all the modes, so there are just a few select modes here in this plugin that allow you to duck the signal, and it really tightens up the sound. So as you can hear, it creates more of that call and response type of effect, and it keeps that delay signal from muddying up and really running over and overriding that dry lead vocal sound. And then another thing you can hear too is it's very filtered out. So I have the high cut on the EQ all the way down to 4K, so you're not hearing all the high-end shimmery stuff. And then I'm also sending it through a reverb so that delay signal that's on this return track gets more washed out and more spacey. And then that's what you end up with. Now again, let me reiterate, you want to be very careful with indie rock when it comes to these types of delays. You want to pick your spots. And that's important because I don't have this delay turned on in the verse.
It's fishes in the sea that are staring at me.
So as you can hear there, it's nice and dry, but then when the chorus comes in, that's when that delay turns on and you get that nice lift. So that is technique number 5. Let's move on to number 4. All right, the number 4 technique is use a slap delay instead of a reverb on your vocal. So for this is my remake of the song Last Night by The Strokes. I did this pretty recently, and it sounds like this. So at first listen, it sounds like there's some reverb on that vocal, right? You've got some space to it. So let's come in here to the mix window and let's see what reverb we got on this thing. Where's the reverb? Here's the vocal. There's no reverb on the inserts, and it's just a delay and a slap delay. What's up with that? That's because the reverb sound you're hearing is coming from the slap delay here. So let's open this up. First off, let's turn it off. Let's see what this sounds like without the slap.
Your girlfriends, they can't understand your grand.
So that's just a nice dry vocal. We've got some saturation, some grit, some distortion on it. But then when you send it to this slap delay that I have on this return track here, I'm sending it to this return track.
Sons, they won't understand. And on top of this, I ain't never gonna understand.
And it's just a very basic slap delay sound. We've got left and right slightly offset here, and then feedback at 0, so it only slaps back once. Turn up the drive a bit, and then I adjusted the low cut and the high cut using the EQ knobs inside of this plugin. And that's it. You can use a slap delay instead of a reverb, especially for indie rock, and 9 times out of 10, it'll give you a better sound.
Last night, she said, oh baby, don't feel so down. Oh, turn me on when I feel left out. So
All right, technique number 3 for producing indie rock vocals is
Crank that distortion, baby.
so, surprise, surprise, I'm going to use another remake here to demonstrate this. This is the Neighbourhood song, Sweater Weather.
and all I am is a man. I want the world in my hands. I hate the beach.
Do you notice how distorted it is? It sounds like the vocal is being sent through some drive and distortion. It's like it sounds like it's going through a guitar amp. So how do you get this type of effect? Well, obviously just mess around with some saturation and some distortion. So the first plugin of that nature on this chain is saturation knob. I got that cranked all the way up to like 12 o'clock. And then the other plugin then is red light distortion. This is just a stock distortion inside my DAW Studio One. And then you put those two together, as well as making sure that you don't have too much crispy, shimmery high end. You want to create a bit of a blanketed sound, which by nature of this distortion plugin kind of does that automatically.
But I stand
Right.
in California with my toes in the sand. Use the sleeves of my sweater.
Now let me turn off the red light distortion and the saturation so you can kind of hear the difference in what it sounds like.
Have an adventure, head in the clouds, but my gravity center.
It loses that vibe. It loses that connection with the rest of the instrumentation and that grit. But when you bring that back and you turn on the saturation, bring back that distortion.
Touch my neck, and I'll touch yours. You and those.
It's like a magnet. It just hooks your ears. And for this type of really darker indie rock with some pop qualities to it, that can be a fantastic move to really just crank that distortion, crank that saturation, and really use that to elevate the overall energy of the song.
'Cause it's too cold for you here. Now you let me hold both your hands in the holes of my sweater.
All right, technique number 2. This one, we're going to delve into a bit more of the subtle details of the vocal production process. And this one is background vocal accents. Now, this is my remake of the song Mr. Brightside by The Killers.
Coming out of my cage and I've been doing just fine. Gotta be down because I want it all.
Do you hear that? Those accents that come in with those doubles.
Fine, gotta be down. Gotta be down.
And there's a bunch of slap delay on those too. But do you notice it's very detailed. It's very meticulously placed. It's not here.
Coming out of my cage and I've been doing just fine. Gotta be down because I want.
And it creates that sense of an accent on that little phrase there. And then over here as well.
Did it end up like this? It was only a kiss. It was only a kiss. Now I'm falling asleep.
That type of arrangement skill, if you can implement that into your songs to where you don't have the backgrounds and the doubles and the harmonies always singing along, sometimes it can just be the best move to arrange them and just bring those backgrounds in and those doubles in on specific phrases or even specific words to accent those phrases and words. It creates so much more interest in your production because of the call and response effect that it has and the accented effect that it has. It's just a beautiful way, and it's so easy too. It just takes a little time and it takes very intense or not intense, but just very attentive listening to what is happening and responding to what sounds and feels best to you when you are trying to arrange these types of recordings and productions. So that's number 2, it's the background vocal accents. Now, very quickly, before we get to number 1, I want to give you a gift. I at least want to make sure that you know about it, and it is my vocal EQ and compression guide. It is a visual guide for how to use EQ, how to use compression, and it will give you just a real sense of understanding, and it'll help you to really take your vocal mixes to the next level and make them sound more professional than they ever have. So I'll leave a link in the description below. It is 100% free, so feel free to check that out. All right, let's move on to number 1. Coming in at number 1, we're gonna stay with the Mr. Brightside remake here, and this is the chorus gang vocals. Now, this isn't applicable to every indie rock song, right? This is a bit more of not every indie rock song ask of you to create this gang anthemic type of effect. But listen to what happens in the chorus of this Mr. Brightside song. See, there's without the gang vocals, and then you bring it back in. Such a powerful effect, and it's so easy. I just recorded 4 extra takes, and I went extra energy with it too. I went extra energy, added a bit more of a, monster sound when I was recording it, because I knew that it was going to be in the back of the mix, and that type of adjusting of my formant and actually how I was singing it was going to help shape the sound and give those gang vocals their own space and their own energy. And then I just recorded 4 different takes of that, and then I grouped them, sent them to a bus here on the gang vocals bus, just ran some compression, some EQ through it, and then layered it in. And also, as far as pan, as you can see here, we've got 1 all the way left, 50 left, 50 right, 100 right. So it's just very evenly spread across the stereo field. And these also, I think, are being sent to some slap delay. Yeah, they are, as you could hear as well, right? You can hear that we've got some slap delay. Again, as we already talked about, we're using slap delay more than we are using reverb, because slap delay is giving us that space that we want for this indie rock sound. I don't understand the hate for Mr. Brightside. I know it's probably maybe been overplayed over the years, but come on, it's just a classic. It's a great song. No shame. Love this song, and that is the list. Those are the top 5 ways to incorporate some really cool production techniques and effects into your indie rock vocal productions. Be sure to implement this, even if it's just one. Just take one of these ideas and go try it out on your own song. Now, before you go, as I already talked about, I do have my gift. It's the vocal EQ and compression guide. I'll leave a link to that below. It's going to really help you get some clarity on how to really use vocal EQ and compression so that your vocals sound more professional and more ready to be heard by the world, up on Spotify. Whatever your plan is for your songs, it'll really help you to just level up your skills with regards to EQ and compression. So thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you next time.